friends, it's Ellen here at Yarn Doc, and I could use a doctor today, actually. So my energy is kind of low. I had a little accident, and I'm chair bound, so it's maybe a little bit different. And I might be feeling a little bit sorry for myself today, but one thing did happen that cheered me up. My knitting needles came. If you've been following for any length of time, thank you. And you know that I am about to embark on a knitting journey. I'm going to try to learn to knit using Craftsy and tell you what that's like. I'm totally not sponsored. It's a completely independent review. And I thought I had knitting needles, and it turns out they were double pointed sock needles. And so I watched a whole lot of needle reviews and that, and decided I really didn't want to invest in a very expensive kit. But I saw this one reviewed by 3 different knitfluencers, I guess you would say, and ended up getting it for just over €8. So they come with the interchangeable cords and that, and I have no idea how they are or how I will feel about them. But after the 3rd good review for that price, I thought, let's give it a shot. And I also got these little, what are they called? Needle caps? Literally needle caps to go on the end of the needles to keep your stitches from falling off. As a beginner, I thought I could really use those. And I forgot that in my last Temu order, I ordered a set. And so when I ordered the needles, I added this to it. And I just thought they were really cute and reminded me of home, which is originally Canada. Now I live in Germany. But what is this video about today? You might wonder why, after 35 years of being a happy crocheter, I've suddenly decided to learn to knit. And it's because I was knitfluenced. There were 8 YouTube channels that I just started watching and binging as I was crafting. And I just watched what they were doing and listened to these people that were so relatable. And I thought, I want to try their craft. I want to do that. It looks great. It has wonderful people involved in the community. So I thought I would share those channels that made me want to put my hooks down for a little bit, not permanently, for a little bit, and pick up some needles. So I'm gonna start just start into the list and tell you just a little bit about why I like them. I don't have the fancy tech to put in video clips or that. It's probably not even fancy tech. I just don't know how to do it. So I will show you a screenshot of their channel page while I'm talking about them, but I'm just gonna say why I like them. And some of them have massive followings and they're really popular. And some of them are maybe newer or not as large, but that had no influence on me. It was just for one reason or another, I started by watching one of their videos and was hooked. Yeah? Hooked. Okay, I'm going to start with Mark Vogel, I think. I don't think there's an S. Sorry if there is. And he is Maker Mark Makes. I think it's a lovely alliteration. Maker Mark Makes. And he makes the most wonderful color worked sweaters. I just am in awe of the way he works on a project, he really puts a lot of thought into it. He is so detailed. He figures out the math and he makes all kinds of adjustments. And as I said, I'm really just beginning. So to me, it's just like, how do you even know how to do the math to make that kind of adjustment or that? But he also just seems like a really nice guy. Like, you want to have him and his husband over for a dinner party and to play cards and then maybe sit and knit and chat. Like, it's just the kind of person that he is, and you just sort of want to be like, come into my home and let's be friends. But he puts so much thought into what he does, and yet he knows that he is gifted, but he's still really humble about it all, and takes advice and gives credit to his friends and colleagues. And yeah, I just really enjoy his stuff, even when I don't understand half of the video. Like, there are times when he's talking about things and I'm like, I have no concept of a Sikh. I have no concept of this. This was a video he did, I think the week before last, and I have no idea what he was talking about, but I still sat and listened to the whole video and was like, interesting. I still don't know what he was talking about, but I still listened, and I still was like, oh, I like that. I don't know what he was talking about. So he's that kind of person. So I would recommend his channel. If you're not a knitter, he does some interesting stuff about yarn and yarn itself, and has some interesting hauls, but has visited Shetland and some farms in Shetland. So that's interesting to anybody in fiber arts. I have seen him do crochet projects. And he's just interesting, and he has a variety of content, and whatever he does, is well thought out. Unlike what I do, which is just like talk and just go on with it. But I recommend him. So he was one of the first. The next on my list is Knits, and I think it stands for New England Knits. And the woman on this channel, her name is Amy. And she's in New England, in Massachusetts, I think. And yeah, she's just nice and relatable. I think I got onto her by watching one of her yarn hauls. She travels a lot and brings home yarns. And I was particularly interested in the yarns that she got in Europe, because being in Europe, so many of the yarn hauls that I see where I can maybe get introduced to new things that I don't know about are American. And not knocking American, I just can't get a lot of it here in Germany. So it was fun to see her get excited about being able to access yarns that were European and should be easy for me to access and I wanted to learn about. But her excitement is kind of like my excitement over getting to go to Michael's. So yeah, I like her. She's very clear. She has a very clear format on her podcast, and she's really talented. So when she's making something, it's just like, wow, you made that with your hands. That's incredible. And so, yeah, I really enjoy her channel as well. And you can see somebody who really enjoys their craft and is really good at it. And yet she comes across as an extremely humble person, and yeah, just nice. Like, you would be happy to sort of like walk around a festival with her, or go yarn shopping, or sit and knit and just hear about her say interesting things, because yeah, she's just relatable and yet so talented. Yeah. So those are my first two. And these, I want to say, are in no particular order. I think they are, I went through my subscription list on YarnDoc here, and I put them in the order that I subscribe to them. At least I think that's how that list works. So that's the order they're in. They're not in like the order of my favorite, or, you know, this is the best to the worst. And that's not it at all. And this list is truly a list of those who influenced my decision to start knitting. It is not an exhaustive list of all the knitters that I watch on YouTube. So these are the people whose fault it is that I bought this set. Not that they recommended this set, but that they got me getting that knitting itch, that urge. So I just wanted to clarify that. And my third one is a little bit embarrassing. It's the Crea Bea knitting podcast. Now, Rebecca is a huge knitwear designer. Like, now that I watch a lot of knitting channels, everybody's talking about, oh, I'm test knitting the new Crea Bea, or I have 3 of Rebecca's designs on my wish list, and I've just finished knitting 2, and I'm like, oh man, she's huge. But I think the first one I watched, she was about to release her very first pattern. I'm pretty sure she talked about that in the very first of her videos that I watched. So I didn't realize that she was this extremely popular, extremely talented, extremely sought after knitter. I thought she was just a nice Scottish girl who was touring yarn shops and talking about her interesting purchases, and oh, she was going to try and release a pattern. Well, isn't that great? Maybe it'll go well for her. And yeah, now it's almost a little bit embarrassing. And the next one on the list is also a similar thing. But she is kind of just a nice Scottish girl who talks to you like, or talks to the camera like she's your friend. And hey, this is what I've been doing, and this is, you know, and this is how it's going, and this is what's coming next. And hey, look at this cool yarn I got. Isn't it awesome? Isn't it beautiful? Or I was just watching one of her videos today, and she was like, I really hope this works out, but I'm really worried that it's not gonna work in the way I want it to and the way I see it in my head, but I just really like it and I really want it to work, but I'm not sure it's gonna work. And I'm just like, yeah, girl, haven't we all, we've all been there, right? We're working on a project and we're so excited about it and we can see it in our head, but we're just not sure that what's working up in our hands is quite what's in our head, but it could be, but it might not be. And yeah, so she's just nice, like, but she makes these beautiful classic pieces. Like, I get the impression that if you make one of her pieces, this is something you can make when you're 20 and still wear when you're 80. And never be out of style going, oh my goodness, is she still wearing that? No, like, it just will always be wearable and, you know, not trendy, but stylish. Like, just sort of classic, subtle, comfortable elegance. And yeah, that's really nice. Really nice to welcome into my home. And I was like, yeah, I like classic and long-lasting elegance that's not too trendy. Because I've said this before, I'm generously sized. So for me to knit something that I'm going to be comfortable in, which means positive ease, with some drape, I do prefer finer weight yarn. I'm spending a lot of time to make that garment, and I want it to be something that I can wear for more than a season of my life. I want to be able to say this is something that can stay as a long-term staple in my wardrobe. And I feel like Rebecca delivers that. And yet I also feel like I can call her Rebecca. You know? And if I can't, I'm sorry, Rebecca, I don't know what your last name is to call you Ms. whatever. And I think that's because you give off the friend vibe. So, yeah. Now, very similar to Rebecca is the next one is, and I'm not going to say it right. I like practice saying it before I made the video, but Kutakika? Kutakika? It's Finnish, and I think it means something like Kika knits. I think that's what it means. And her name is Veronica, so I think Kika is like short form for Veronica. And huge famous knitwear designer, 2 books, both of which I ordered before I had any plans to knit, just because I wanted to support her in any way that I could, because she's so lovely. Like, she does these vlog style videos where you actually get sort of a peek into her life and her day and her routine. And sometimes I like that and sometimes I don't. I'm leaning towards more of I like that. But with her, it was just like, welcome to my life. I am this adorable... You know, they always say that the Finns are the happiest people in the world. And we had a German coach that was actually Finnish for the men's hockey team. And he never had an expression. Ever. And, you know, that was sort of what stuck in my mind as the Finnish nature. Like, very sort of stoic, reserved. And so we'd hear like the Finns are the happiest people on earth, and we're like, really? So like my impression of Finns comes from hockey, and when the Finns are in the hockey arena, they are serious, they are hardworking, they are focused. I mean, they're working. There's no sort of like joviality, is that a word? To it. Not like the Czechs. I mean, the Czechs are, you know, if you're not hopping, you're not Czech, you know, that kind of, and the players are always have big grins, and I'm making horrible stereotypes, but all to say that that was the impression of Finns in my mind. And then here comes Veronica, who's like smiling and happy and just has so much joy for her craft and is amazing at it. I mean, she just makes. She's not looking at a pattern. She's making the pattern up in her head, and it's just coming out, and you never see her like working on the math or having to figure it out. She just kind of like, I'm making this. And, you know, she was making this thing for her baby. and she was doing it because she was going to announce on the channel that she was pregnant, and having in the not so distant past had a bunch of babies, I could tell what she was making through it, but she was just kind of like, I'm not sure about the proportions of this, and then she would just knit some more, and like it's like, okay, I think I'll just sort of transform it from what I was gonna, because of the way it was working out, and she just made it. And yeah, I can do that in crochet, but I didn't think you could do that in knitting. I didn't think there was sort of free form jazz style knitting, but she seems to be able to do it. And it's just, I don't know. I think my impression of knitting was that it was very serious and very focused, and yes, you made beautiful things, but there wasn't a whole lot of joy in it. Sorry. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. I've learned. But that's what she taught me. Hello.
Hello.
I'm talking to my knitting friends about other knitters.
What is a knitter friend?
What is a knitter friend? That's people who watch my channel who knit. No. Don't go there. Go that way. Bye. Sorry. It's Saturday. It's Saturday. I'm behind. It's just my life. Yeah, so I was saying, she taught me about the joy in knitting. And it made me want to do it. Like, she made it look fun. And that's one of the reasons I crochet. Is yes, it's relaxing. Yes, it's, for me, it's meditative. But at the bottom line, it's fun. And that's why doing this channel for me is fun, because it's based around this thing that brings me joy. And seeing her joy made me think, I want joy too. I want that kind of joy. And it just seems like a different way. Just a different access to it. She was the fourth one I discovered, and I binge watched. Like, I think I watched every video just straight. Like, the TV was always on watching her stuff. And then I discovered Rosemary and Pine Fiber Arts and Anita. And I could tell she wasn't American, but I was like, she's coming from somewhere in Europe. And it took me a little while, and then she said, I'm in Germany. And I was like, yes, because there was something there that I could just connect to. There was just, I'm not German, but I live here. I've lived here for almost a decade now. And there are parts of me that are becoming German. And just sort of the way that she would talk about yarns and the yarns that she was talking about. She's a dyer herself, a natural dyer. Which I've just discovered she actually sells her yarns. So she's definitely worth looking at on Etsy. I know she has a shop in Etsy. And I have some of her stuff in my cart right now. That will be one of my next yarn purchases. But she is so polished. She is just so thoughtful and polished and organized, but doesn't really come across as scripted. Do you know what I mean? Like, she knows what she's talking about. She's clearly researched what she's saying, but she still talks like a person, not like a professor. Which is something I know a lot about. Appreciate that thoughtful, researched, well-spoken, and yet well-informed approach to a vlog. She has a series that I just adore. It is so well done, where she is looking at the knitting culture around the world. So each episode is a different country. She just did Canada. And I things that I didn't know I knew about my country of origin. And I'm like, oh yeah, I saw those sweaters all the time. Oh yeah, we do have a knitting culture, and I learned so much, and it was so intelligent and well researched, and yet giving practical resources. And here are the designers, here are some sample patterns, here's how you get those patterns, this is what's unique to this country and their centuries old knitting traditions. It's a fabulous series. I recommend it. I do not miss one of her videos. I just soak them in, and I almost I save them to when I know I'm going to be home alone. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to have my project, though often my project just sits in my lap because I actually want to see what she's showing and really focus on her videos. And she is also so talented. She has just made so many beautiful knits. And you can see somebody on the street and you'd be like, oh, you've made it. That's a beautiful handmade sweater. And maybe this won't sound like a compliment to a knitter, but she'll be wearing something and then she'll say, and I made this. And I'm like, you made that? Girl, I thought you bought that. Like that just looks perfect. Like there's not a flaw in it. It looks store-bought because it's perfect. Like there's nothing. And I mean, she can do color work, she can do lace work, she can do texture. She just has it together. And so, yeah, definitely check out her channel. I highly recommend that one series, but I recommend all of her videos. They're all fantastic. The next one is also a German channel, or by a German creator, and that's Herb Garden Knitwear. And Hannah, she's a designer, and again, she's so relatable, and she reminds me of our oldest. Like she just really does. The interest that she talks about, the way in which she talks about them. I think she's a little bit older than our oldest, but I watch her and I'm just like, oh. And I think that is part of why I connected to her, but I can just relate to some of the things that she's talking about, her excitement about her craft. But she's just a lovely person too. Like, she's humble and conversational. She's doing interesting things. She's got interesting makes. Her stuff has longevity as well. I think that is one thing about sort of these last set of makers, creators, knitters, is they have real longevity in what they make, and classic lines and styles, and that appeals to me in things that I might want to make eventually, hopefully, if I can make the needles work together. Because as I said, I can't do the trendy things. It just is not gonna be sustainable. At least I can't make them for me. Maybe some of my skinny kids. I've got a lot of skinny kids. Maybe I can make them some trendy stuff. But I just enjoy her stuff. I just like to watch her. And yeah, there's that joy that comes through when she's talking about her projects and talking about the yarn. And to me, one, that's relatable, and two, it's like you make it seem like a fun thing to do. This is terrible. But these last two, Hannah at Herb Garden and Nicola. Nicola is the creator behind Down the Forest Path Knits. And she is also from Germany. These are my German ladies. And for the same reason I like Hannah's stuff, I like Nicola's stuff. And I hate to admit that for like the first couple of months, I thought I was watching the same person. And that should be a compliment, because they're both so lovely. And like they're about the same age, they're both German, and they're both so talented, conversational, and I just enjoyed them, and I just enjoyed watching them. At first I watched for the yarn content in their videos, and then I just started watching all of their videos. And the stuff that I didn't understand, I could still appreciate their project and what they were doing and how it was working up or not working up. And so I really enjoyed them. And so they're both on the list. And they are two different channels, so you should check out both channels. You should check out both channels. They're both excellent. The final one on my list was the most recent, and I think the one where I finally went, yep, I'm gonna order my needles. I'm gonna order needles. It was at that point that I went and started looking into, okay, what needles should I get as a total beginner? And maybe I've made the wrong choice. I don't know. I do have double pointed sock needles in about 10 different sizes. So if that's better, you can let me know. She's a fairly new knitter, and her channel name tells you a little bit about where she thinks she's at, and it's Good Yarn, Bad Knits. And I just love how she tells it like it is about things. Like, in making this, it was kind of a disaster. This happened, that happened, this happened. I made this mistake and nobody'd ever seen that mistake before. And how did I do that? I don't know. I had to go into a yarn shop and get professional help, and they fixed it. And then they said, maybe you shouldn't do this. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. If you can be a beginner too. Like, it was just sort of that freedom, like to be like, if you can do it and be so comfortable talking about, this didn't work out so well. And this I realized was maybe a little bit beyond my skills at this point. But I could do this step or that step or this step in order to maybe build up my skills so that one day I can do this project. And I'm like, yeah, I can start with, I don't know, a face cloth or whatever it is that they're gonna teach me and learn to knit on Craftsy. I can do that. And I can watch somebody else who is sort of 1 year ahead of me on this journey and be like, it's also okay to start at the beginning and to not be the absolute best at it. I mean, to me, to be honest, her stuff looks good. I don't see the bad knits and I don't really see the problems. So, but she's pretty honest. And she does have good yarn. She's got gorgeous yarn on that channel. It's a little bit like yarn porn, watching what she uses, and her tourist yarn or souvenir yarns. She has good taste, and I like to see it because as much as I like to make things with yarn, I also really like to look at it. So these are the 8 that really convinced me to try, to pick up some needles and give it a go. Like, what do I have to lose? I have yarn. We know I have yarn, but every color, every weight, I've got yarn. I've got needles. It was not a huge investment. I have no idea what that was. Sounded ominous. I'm not gonna look. I'm just gonna keep going. I think I have a ghost. And I've totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, they're the ones that really convinced me. I do have an honorable mention for 2 that probably would have been on this list, but I discovered them after I'd pretty much made the decision to go for it, and that's Stitches and Stem and Tangled Together. I think they would have been pushing me towards being like, what do you have to lose? Like, try it. You might catch the joy. You might find that knitting joy. But I'd already ordered my needles when I discovered their channels. So they probably would have been in that category. But because of the timing, they weren't on the list, but I'm going to give them an honorable mention. And there should have been a 3rd on that list. And I always have trouble remembering. Oh, I think it's Katy Perot Makes from Australia. Yeah. She would totally be on that list. And I think I did. It was right around the time I was researching what needles to get. So I'd made the decision when I discovered her channel, and that was like, yep, that extra push. That there are other knitters I watch, there are other knitters that I really like, but they're not the ones that knitfluenced me. So maybe that's another video down the road. And I may end up turning to them for other things in this process. But these are the ones that really made me see the joy of knitting, and that despite not identifying as a knitter, because at this point I'm not, I still wanted to welcome into my home every episode, week after week, day after day, and we'll continue to do so, whether this works out or not. So why am I here? Why am I starting? Because of them. So check them out if you haven't already. Maybe you've known them for a long time. Maybe they're old friends to you, but they're my new knitting friends who have no idea I exist. But that's okay too. That's the beauty of YouTube. So if you want to watch me go through this process myself, right from day one, learning how to cast on, subscribe, hit the notifications. These videos are coming. That sounded ominous. These videos are coming. I don't know. Subscribe, watch, help me through it. If you are a talented knitter, if you are also a beginner, let's go through this together. I'm gonna need help. I'm gonna need friends. Be my friend and subscribe. It's free. It's not gonna cost you anything. So yeah, help me. And check out some of these channels. I'll see you next time.